Good evening. It is Wednesday, February 15th, 2023, and coming to you from Studio 1A at Lonely Tree Media headquarters in Yakima, Washington. This is the Best Slam Sports Show. I'm your host, David Lamb. With me, as always, is my son, Parker. Say hello, Parker.
Hello, Parker.
Woohoo! We hope everyone had a great Valentine's Day. Did you do anything for Valentine's Day, Parker?
Negative. Busy.
Yeah, me either. I was working.
Yeah, it's just Valentine's Day.
I mean, right?
Cassie and I have never been big into Valentine's Day. We're big into the day after when we go to the store and buy a bunch of cheap candy.
Cheap candy. That's right. You can buy all that heart-shaped candy cheap.
Although we went to Freddy's today and they didn't have any. Like they had no
Really?
Valentine's Day candy. It was gone. And it doesn't look like it was bought. It looks like they put it all back in the boxes and took it out.
Huh.
Like it was gone.
I didn't go to ours, but
worth a check apparently.
I don't know. That's weird.
Or maybe not worth a check. I don't know. I think we're gonna go to Safeway next. Double check. Do the rounds.
Stores. See if you can find one of those Whitman samplers.
You're just not gonna convince me that all those heart-shaped boxes of Ferrero Rocher just were bought because they're not.
And I'm not gonna say that, but I am gonna say, how long do those last? Could you save them and sell them next year?
Maybe.
I
bet there's like gummy bears. No, because they all have labels. Like I'm thinking like a bag of Haribo's that I've seen. They have like 7 months on their date. So there's no way they're lasting a whole year for those. And that's just gel. So that's just hardened gel. That would last the longest.
Gummy bears are delicious, by the way.
And they're awful for you.
It doesn't matter. It's those kind of things. It's like that. We bought we're already off topic. We bought 1 minute into the show. We bought the red rope. They had like red rope pieces.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so back in the day when I was growing up, you could buy the red ropes and they were like a foot long or 2 feet long, or they were these big long pieces of red rope, right? And you bought them and they were like $1 maybe.
Right.
And now they have these like pieces. They're just like little 6-inch pieces in a bag. And I opened that up and I haven't had a red rope in I don't know how long. And it was just, it's like so delicious.
I think you can still buy the
big ones,
the foot long or 2 foot long red ropes. I know they have them at movie theaters.
Yeah.
I think you can get them at some stores.
Because that was like the best thing. And they didn't even have, so like now they're individually packaged in plastic.
Yeah.
Back in the day at the baseball park, they were just laying on a little hook, open. There was there was no packaging. There was no sanitary packaging. It was just the red rope, and you grabbed it, and then someone handed it to you, and you ate it because that's what you did.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that was back in the day when we didn't have any safety protocols.
Where did Wayne's World get all the red rope they kept in their little car? Like in the little roof compartment, you know?
Oh, that was pretty. Yeah, they pulled them out and then cut them. That was really cool.
But I'm trying to think about where they got, because they don't sell them in like 30-foot long spools.
No, they don't. They probably had to make them. I mean, it's a movie, so
yeah, they can make it. It's just a candy. You can make it.
I'm sure that one of the people on this, his job was to take like a bunch of 2-foot red ropes and link them together.
Heat the ends up and link them together,
and
melt them together.
He got paid a ton of more than you and I ever will make. He got paid to do that.
Maybe not. This was a PA. He was an intern. He did not.
It could have been. I mean, it might have been, but
yeah, that's who you get to do that job.
That's a special effects job right there.
Okay.
I mean, it has to be, right? That's going to fall under special.
It definitely had me wondering how they made that effect.
I would love to have one of those in my car.
Yes.
You can just cut it off. However much you need.
I remember when my last car had like the sunglasses visor or the sunglasses holder was big enough for red vines.
And did you put some in there?
Oh, like if I were like on road trips, I would pop down the thing and I'd stuff like a bunch of them in there, and then that's where I'd just reach up and grab them.
Red vines are my second favorite. Your mom likes Twizzlers.
Ugh.
I know,
not giant pieces of plastic.
It's not quite the same, but she likes the flavor of the Twizzler. If they made red vines in that flavor, like a raspberry flavor, she would eat them.
I'll tell you what, Twizzlers does have it's a pack where it's like multicolored inside.
Yeah.
They don't sell them everywhere, but those
with the different flavors.
Good. Yeah, with the different flavors, and they're not very different. They're slightly different from each other, but those are good.
We just buy the big tubs of the red vines.
That's
right. The $8 tub or whatever it costs now. I don't know.
When they put them on sale at Costco, and it's like $6 or $7.
Yeah. And you get about halfway through it, and the rest of them are hard.
Yeah, they're stale because somebody left the lid off.
And then pretty much you're just kind of sucking on the red rope, or the red vine.
You can toss them in the microwave for a few minutes. It cools them down, or softens them up.
I'm scared.
And it makes them flavorful.
I got a brand new microwave, and I'm pretty sure that your mother won't allow that.
Well, keep the old microwave room. We'll call it the Red Vines microwave.
It is $65 microwave. So our microwave went out. This is the best show ever, by the way. Our our microwave went out, the one above the stove.
Yeah.
So we had an old black one. It was probably from, I'm just going to guess, 1990 something, right? So it's probably 30 years old. And it went out. It literally just stopped working one day. So I took it out of where it is, and we ordered a new microwave. We also ordered a new dishwasher so that it would match the microwave, because all of the appliances are going to match eventually. So we got a brand new dishwasher, and then we had to wait. The dishwasher came in like 5 days, right?
Yeah.
No problem. Microwave? Oh, no, it's going to be like a month before you get it. We finally get it, which is like 3 days ago. And we get it, and so now I've got this brand new, it's beautiful, brand new Samsung microwave. It's gorgeous. And it does more things. It has a fit choice button, right? For heating things like, I don't know, quinoa, right? And I said, that button's never going to get touched, right? It's like, we should have saved some money and not had that feature, because I'm never going to touch that button. But long story short, I'm afraid if I put something like that in the new microwave, I will get in trouble. So fit choice. Yeah, it's a fit choice button, because that's for all your healthy options. It's got a whole bunch of different settings.
Well, that was exciting.
What? This is why. I mean, if you don't listen to this show, this is why you should tune in, because it's relatable, right? Is that not related? It has moments, yeah.
It has moments.
There's at least one moment in every show where you go, that sounds like something. That sounds like something I would do at home. So we are on YouTube. We're on Twitter at Lamb Sports. We're on Facebook under the Best Lamb Sports Show. You can send us an email, lambsports@gmail.com. Please check out our webpage. You can find links to the past shows and the current trivia question on www.lambsports.com. And I do have a new trivia question this week. I know, right? We're going to talk about New Mexico State men's basketball season is forfeited, which is not the first time I've seen a basketball season forfeited, but it's the first time, for the reasons that we're going to talk about, that it's been forfeited. The NBA had some big names changing teams at the trade deadline, mostly from one team. Yeah. And then, in case you missed it, there were commercials on Sunday. So
exciting.
We're going to talk about that too. We're going to start first with the Best Lamb Sports Show trivia question, because I have that. You know what? I haven't even mentioned the range in Yakima. So should probably do that, because got to pay the bills, which we don't have. The range is Central Washington's premier indoor shooting destination at 34,000 square feet. The range is an all-inclusive facility offering firearm training, retail firearm sales and supplies, full gunsmithing and repairs, custom builds, and Cerakote services, all under one roof. Open Tuesday through Saturday from 10 to 7, Sunday 11 to 5. Go see our friends at the range, 1701 Garrettson Lane in Yakima. Phone number is 509-571-1449. Make sure you mention the Best Lamb Sports Show. The range, educate, equip, and empower. And in fact, the range is going to have a brand new slogan, by the way, which is now the range setting the standard. There you go.
Setting the standard.
Yeah, setting the standard. Is that better?
For what?
Everything? Shooting?
Which
training?
Standard?
Safety.
Standard for safety.
Yeah.
But Granger already does that. I don't want to hear that.
No, that's different. Granger's.
Are you kidding me? That guy says he wakes up in the morning and drinks a big cup of safety.
The Granger commercials. Call, click, or stop by. Right?
Call, click, or stop by.
He's clearly from Minnesota or Wisconsin. The dude that does that, right?
I like that guy.
That is funny. The commercials used to be better. The last few I haven't heard hasn't been that good, but yeah. Anyway, okay, where were we? Granger.
Ones who get it done.
The ones for the ones.
We are not sponsored by Granger.
We are not sponsored by Granger at all. So, but it's free.
It's
free advertising for Granger. I can't imagine they'd be upset about it.
No, they're not.
I love the commercials. So. It's just the audio commercials, just the hearing the guy's voice and he's talking about stuff. And then at the very end, he says, call, click, or stop by.
The moment he starts talking, I know exactly where it's going.
Right? Anyway, those are good commercials. Speaking of commercials, let's talk about this, shall we? Where am I at? So, that's not what I wanted to do. Why does it do that when I want to do that? So, the thing is, There we go. All right, now we're good. You ready?
Yep.
Super Bowl 57 on Sunday. Kansas City Chiefs 38. Philadelphia Eagles 35. I'm sure everyone watched it. That's why I'm not exactly just hiding it or, yeah. Harrison
Saving it for the end.
Harrison Butker's 27-yard field goal with 8 seconds left gave Kansas City the winning margin, not without its share of controversy, which we're going to talk about later. Jalen Hurts was really good in this football game. I'm going to start with that. I've seen him play all year, and I kept saying, well, yeah, but they're beating a team with a backup quarterback, or they're, I kept making excuses to why Philadelphia wasn't good enough. But their offense is really good. Jalen Hurts is a good quarterback. And he was very good in this game, barring the one turnover, which was inexplicable.
Looked like Butterfingers.
Did it not look just like Pat Mahomes in the AFC Championship game?
Yeah.
Just all of a sudden the ball just goes flying out, and you're like, what just happened? Anyway, but on top of that, Patrick Mahomes was downright special in the second half of this game. On a hurt ankle, which everyone saw at the end of the half. It's 24-14 Philadelphia at the end of the half, right?
Right.
And you're thinking, and now Mahomes is hurt, and there's, you know he's going to come back after halftime. Everybody knew that, but you didn't know how effective he would be because he was started out being effective-ish, you know what I mean? And then now you're seeing this twisted ankle, and you saw the ankle injury happen. You saw the guy land on the ankle, and you're like, meh. And I'm thinking, okay, Kansas City's done.
I'm thinking Philly's just gonna, knock out quarterbacks left and right. That's how they
again,
win now.
Right? Yeah.
At some point, it starts to seem questionable.
Well, they didn't do anything wrong. I mean,
this incidentally happened to 3 different quarterbacks.
They didn't actually knock him out. So I mean, I guess that's a good thing.
It was inconsequential, but it looked like it was going to be, and you were like, man.
It absolutely looked like I was going to see Chad Henne signal a first down motion after he gained 9 yards, right?
Yes.
I thought that was coming again, but classic Chad Henne. But no, so second half was all Patrick Mahomes, really. I mean, 4 possessions, 3 touchdowns, and a game-winning field goal. That's all he did. And it was all good. Everything they did. The adjustments they made at halftime might have been the best offensive adjustments I've ever seen a team make in a game. Just because you watched it, 2 of the touchdown passes in the second half were on plays where the wide receiver went in motion in briefly and then turned and went back out.
Right.
And it's because, I don't know if it was Eric Bieniemy or if it was Andy Reid or whoever, saw that Philadelphia was trying to get ahead of the crossing motions. Right?
Yeah.
Knowing that that's what Kansas City wants to do, knowing that people are going to go across and either they're going to motion across or they're going to run a route across, they wanted to jump ahead of it. So they were flying ahead of the motion. They started him in motion. The guys were just moving to the other side of the field. And they saw that, obviously, snapped the ball and have him just turn around. And it's wide open. 2 of those passing touches were just wide open.
Wide open.
The one to Sky Moore and the, why can't I think of the other one? I don't remember. Shit. Anyway, both of those were just gigantic plays in the game.
Oh, Tony.
Kadarius Toney, yeah.
Yep.
And I think if you would have told me Kadarius Toney might have been the MVP of this game, I know there's just 1 touchdown catch, but the 65-yard punt return to set up Kansas City on the Eagle 5-yard line later for an easy score was gigantic.
Huge.
Yeah, just gigantic. And then, of course, you had the scramble by Mahomes late on 3rd and 1, 26 yards on that last drive. Just set them up beautifully. And I thought for sure he was going to get tackled and go down again with an ankle injury. Yeah, because they were going to catch him from behind. Anyway, all of that was just the play itself during the game was really, really good. It just really was. I mean, you had that 1 turnover by Philadelphia. You had 2 sacks, but for Kansas City, but they weren't really sacks, more as they were pressures and Hurts ran out of bounds. Nobody got actually creamed like Hurt sack. AJ Brown catches a touchdown pass. Travis Kelce catches a touchdown pass. You saw the things you wanted to see in this football game. It was entertaining to me. I don't know. Not going to say it was the best Super Bowl I've ever seen, but it was a very good football game to watch, just because of the emotions. The first half was all Philadelphia, and you're thinking, Kansas City's done.
Right.
And then it flips the switch.
Yeah, I thought it was really good. My issue with sitting here and wanting to give Jalen Hurts, all the credit is that his stat line, which was 27 of 38, 304 for a touchdown,
Yeah.
like that's respectable, is severely inflated by 90 yards on 2 passes.
True.
Right? So he really threw for 25 times for like 314 yards.
Yeah.
That's a lot of passes. You are throwing nothing but 6 yards and under.
Yeah.
Like you are not going deep at all. You are not trying to go deep. And neither was Patrick Mahomes. I'm not over here trying to say he was doing a lot of crazy stuff.
Right.
But outside of these 2 plays, everything was short. And this is the Geno Smith thing from this year. Geno Smith this year threw almost 87% of his passes under 7 yards.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, "Oh, he's so efficient." It's like, well, yeah, he doesn't have to throw it very far.
Yeah,
like,
right.
It's designed well. Jalen Hurts had a very well designed game plan to allow him to throw the ball well, open up the field a little bit, and put his players in space. That's it. He didn't have to do a ton. He did lead them in rushing, and that was the big difference maker. We said last week what they got to do to stop him. You got to stop him from running the ball, force Jalen Hurts to throw the ball, and you can win this game. Well, they did exactly that.
They did.
Yeah, because Jalen Hurts was your leading rusher with 70 yards. The team between 4 rushers only had 115.
And I picked Philadelphia. I did. I said, but I knew this game was going to be close. But I picked Philadelphia by 3.
I knew it was going to be this close.
I knew it was going to be a close game. What I told, it's funny because what I told your mother before the game, I said, you know what? I said, I picked Philadelphia. I'm sticking by that. I said, but I think in order for Philadelphia to win, the score has to stay in the 20s.
Yeah, stay a little lower. Yeah.
If it gets into the 30s, I said Kansas City has a pretty darn good chance of winning this football game.
Do you have the numbers from last week? What did I say it was going to be?
I do. Hold on, it's over here.
Because I thought it was. I can't remember if I thought it was going to be like a barn burner, higher scoring, but I thought I did.
I wrote a lot of crap down, so it's hard to tell.
Hey, you gotta highlight that one.
Parker said 31-27 Chiefs.
Oh, it's close.
Yeah. I actually had Philly by 7, 27-20.
I was off by a touchdown total, like either way, like
Either
both
way,
teams
yeah,
need to score
teams.
one more.
Yeah, yeah. So we undersold it a little bit, but
we undersold. We thought it was gonna be more defensive than it was, and it started very
that way, yeah.
offense. Oh yeah, it started very like they're stopping them, things like that. But then the Chiefs rattled off 3 touchdown drives in a row.
Yeah.
To start the second half.
That was amazing. That to me was amazing. When I saw those plays get run and I saw the guys doing the motion and the quick turnaround, I was like, yeah, they learned something. Somebody somewhere caught this in film or whatever,
yeah.
and they just made that adjustment, and that's all it takes usually, as long as you can keep it close.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then of course when Philly went down and scored the touchdown, the 2-point conversion, and tied the football game, I was like, there's still a chance Philly's going to win this.
I actually thought they were going to win at that point.
Yeah, I thought the Mo had shifted, but then the drive for the field goal was amazing.
Yeah.
Just 5 minutes, 12 plays. And then you have Jerick McKinnon, who made one of the best heads-up plays, and I don't know if he was coached that way or if he's just football smart, but to go down at the 1-yard line.
Yep, slide down.
Oh, my gosh, and not score, even though Philly clearly wasn't trying to tackle him.
Which, by the way, anybody on earth that wants to sit here and try and tell me that, players would never intentionally lose. I just watched 11 guys on this field intentionally try and give up points.
Yeah.
Because it gave them a strategic advantage. What makes you think they wouldn't try and give up an entire game because it gives them a better draft pick?
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah, you're never going to convince me of that. But, I mean, I would have done the same thing. I would have absolutely told my players, don't tackle him. If he breaks outside, you let him go.
Let him go. Yeah, and they did.
They did. And
I didn't.
The smartest guy. But you need somebody in the vicinity to push him out.
And I didn't think he was going to make it. I thought he was going to go. I thought he was going to score or run out of bounds and stop the clock.
The only reason he did make it to where he got to is because everyone gave up.
He got lucky because he tiptoed. He came to a screeching halt about 3 inches from the end zone.
Yeah, that's the smartest play of the game right there.
Yeah, absolutely. That was amazing heads-up play. But Kansas City 158 yards rushing, 6.1 yards per carry, and I think that was the difference because I thought Philadelphia was the better rushing team going in. They definitely were statistically. But they got 115 yards, but 70 of them were from Hurts and 3 touchdowns, obviously, which is amazing.
Broken play scrambles by Hurts.
But 3.6 yards per carry. The rest of the team was not even – Hurts averaged 4.7 yards a carry. The rest of the team averaged about 2.7.
Right.
So those guys that had been big time for them, the largest run for them was 9 yards.
Yeah.
It was
one of Hurt's carries was for 28 yards.
Yeah,
So he had 14 carries for 40. What am I saying here?
Yeah,
42 yards,
which would have been 3 yards a carry.
Which would have been 3 yards a carry, like without one giant break, and he
Right.
actually had a couple decent little breaks.
The-
Without those, they are struggling all day to run the ball.
The other guy you could have told me was going to be MVP, and I would have backed you, would have been Juju Smith-Schuster, because he made some amazing 7 catches, only 53 yards. I know he didn't score, but they were big catches in the second half. Yeah, timely catches, just to give him a first down or to make things keep moving or just whatever. He came up big.
Just given it to Jerick McKinnon on that slide, because of that moment.
It's crazy good.
If you give it to Travis Kelce, he's your workhorse.
Yeah.
He's your workhorse year in and year out. I wouldn't have been mad about that either.
Right. 6 targets, 6 catches, 81 yards on a touchdown.
Yeah, pretty good.
And that's with being double teamed the whole dang game.
Oh my gosh, the whole game they were dropping a linebacker onto him and having a safety.
You can't hardly cover him. I mean, I was sitting there watching. I'm telling your mom, I go, he's the best wide receiver on the field. She goes, he's a tight end. I said, yeah, kinda. He is the best wide receiver on this field right now. He gets open. He's big and strong. You have a hard time getting him once he catches it. He's fast. He's deceptively fast.
He's a little more elusive than he seems like he should be.
Right.
He has fantastic balance.
Yeah.
Not times I've seen him get hit and kind of spin around and stay on his feet for an extra 7 or 8.
Devontae Smith had 100 yards receiving on 7 catches, and A.J. Brown 96 yards on 6 catches. Those guys each close to 100 yards, and that's exactly what Philadelphia needed because, they were to stay in it. But literally, let's think about this. If Hurts doesn't fumble that football in the first half, right?
Yeah, they were moving too.
They were moving. They were controlling the game. If they go down and even just score a field goal, you keep Nick Bolton out of the end zone, basically, from the fumble recovery, right? So take 7 off of Kansas City and give 3 to Philadelphia. This game now is a 38-31 Philadelphia win with just a field goal.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't have had that last second field goal attempt, so it might have been a 38-28 Philadelphia win.
Being fair, if they would have made their field goal and it's 10-7, like who knows what Philadelphia's game plan looks like. It probably doesn't change much.
We got a doink.
It's so early in the game, but
we got a doink. That was great.
I would never, if you would have guessed me, Harrison Butker misses a field goal in this game, yes or no, I'd have been like, no way.
Nah.
Harrison Butker doesn't miss field goals. 42 is a little long, but it's not that long. Not for him, anyways.
Nick Bolton had 9 tackles, 8 solo tackles, 1 fumble recovery and a touchdown, and almost had a second one. Right?
Jeez.
Because he because of the creaming of Scott out of the backfield when he barely had the football. He didn't. It wasn't a catch. I mean, not at all. And I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying it was like that was a momentum thing. Even though that play doesn't count, how does that not give your defense this gigantic momentum boost all of a sudden to see a guy level the wide receiver and pick up the ball and run it for a touchdown? Anyway,
30 years ago, that's a catch because they don't have replay.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's always, it's so funny because I'm watching it with a bunch of people, and there's a couple girls who are there, and they don't watch. Like 2 of them didn't watch a lot of football. And they're like, "Wait, why is that not a catch?" And I'm like, "Man, you tell me." We've been trying to figure this out for years.
Yeah.
It looks like he puts both hands on it. It looks like he starts to tuck it into his thing. It looks like he looks dead at the guy running straight at him.
Right.
And then he drops it.
Yeah. There's no rhyme or reason. You can read the rule book and you can come up with 6 different interpretations when you watch it in practice.
They said that he had the catch.
Yeah,
he had the steps.
Right.
He didn't have the football move.
You got to make a football move. What is that? Which is,
in my opinion, it's 2 of the 3.
If you heard,
if 2 of the 3 are there, it's a catch.
If you heard, and gosh, who's the referee guy on Fox? Dang it.
Territory?
Yeah. If you listen to him say it, he said there needed to either be a 3rd step, a 3rd foot down, right? Or some sort of, or a tuck of the football, right? There had to be one of those things for it to be a football move.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. And I get that to a certain extent, but for all the life of me, that looks like a fumble. And,
it looks like a fumble. I get it. They're trying to prevent people from just immediately blowing up receivers.
Right.
That's what it is, the steering, is to prevent them from just putting the largest mega hit possible, because if it seems like it's a catch, it'll just come loose.
Right. So,
soft football.
And those guys that were supposed to be difference makers in this game, Chris Jones, 3 tackles, no sacks, no quarterback hits. He was a non-factor. Hassan Reddick, 1 tackle. He had 1 tackle. He did hit the quarterback twice, but he had 1 tackle. Fletcher Cox, 1 tackle.
Yeah.
They were just non-factors in this game. The defenses were good in the first half, but non-factors really. They didn't do anything that forced anything. I don't know. It was an interesting game to watch. I liked it. Did you like watching the game? Was it just enjoyable to watch that football game?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It was pretty smooth. It didn't seem to have a lot of problems. It wasn't a lot of stalls up for time. It had a good flow to it the whole game. Yeah, I didn't have any problems with it.
So let's talk about the controversy. Yeah, because there's always controversy. Holding call at the end of the game on James Bradbury holding Smith-Schuster was. Here's the questions. They're going to some yes or no questions for you. Holding was the right call against James Bradbury in this situation. Yes or no?
Very specifically worded. You break that down into a couple of ways. Was it holding? Yes. Is the referee's job to call holding? Yes. Should the situation be a factor? No. So yes. It was the right call in this situation because it was the call. It was the correct call, regardless of the situation.
And it was two parts. The picture that I'm showing here is just one part, which was the left hand.
The holding occurred
earlier with the jersey. He grabbed the jersey with the right hand.
Well, it was at the break. So Juju does a zig route, goes pop, pop, and then turns to cut back, and he immediately grabs him.
Right.
And stalls him up and almost knocks him down.
And I think the telling point of this whole thing, and I know people are up in arms about it, well, a referee shouldn't be deciding the football game, just like they say about basketball in the final
I love
minutes.
That we had a whole conversation the other day about deciding sporting events.
We did, and this happens.
And then this happens. You're like, well.
I mean, what actually decided the game? Was it this moment? I mean, contributing factors. That's what we talked about.
It was a heavy factor.
Yeah. and I think the most telling tale is that James Bradbury after the game says, yeah, it was a hold.
Well, what he said was, yeah, I grabbed him. I thought they'd let it slide. He didn't say it was a hold. He said, I grabbed him.
He did later in another interview. Okay, he said, yeah, it was holding. I mean, he knows it was holding. He knows he did it wrong. Yeah. And he grabbed him. It's one of those things that sometimes it does not get called in the NFL. Let's be honest. And in this moment, a lot of people are saying, well, if you don't call it all the time, you can't call it now. Well, that's not true. It depends on the referee. Maybe this referee calls it all the time.
I do agree with the idea that there hadn't been a single holding call this whole game.
It's true.
Not one. Why now?
Mm-hmm.
You're trying to tell me there wasn't holding at any other point? I watched Travis Kelce get mauled at one point. I watched A.J. Brown fall down and they didn't call it.
Yep.
I don't understand.
Why
this one? But by the same token, maybe you didn't see the other ones. Maybe you had, loose turf from this garbage field in your eye.
We'll talk about that in a minute.
I know. But maybe you had that in your eye and you couldn't see the other ones. I don't know. Maybe you were clear head. Maybe you happened to be looking the right way at this one. I don't know. But it is the right call. People are just mad that there wasn't more. If they'd been calling holding on every play, the thing would be, the referees are ruining this game.
Right. Yeah.
But if they only call holding a couple times, it'd be like they're picking and choosing when. You just can't make people happy.
You can't make people. You're right. You can't make people happy. And I always offer the example of if this occurs in the first quarter and they call holding, you don't complain about it at all.
Well, it's holding.
Yeah. But if it happens in the fourth quarter and it's on the deciding drive that leads to the game-winning field goal, oh my God, they're ruining the football game.
Did you hear what the announcers said about it afterward? Like when they talked about how it's a deciding play, and the one announcer goes, "Well, it's not the deciding play. There was a lot of other plays," and the other one goes, "Yeah, but there wasn't much after it."
It's true, and
that was my point the other day. Is that you're right. In the first quarter, there's definitely something that changes the entire course of history.
And Greg Olson for Fox, and I want to just go out on a limb and go out on a personal note and say, I want to apologize to the Fox announcers because when we tuned in and I saw who was doing the game, I'm like, really?
He's pretty good.
They were really good.
He was pretty good. Better than I thought.
Yeah, they were better than I thought they'd be. But on this particular play, Greg Olson goes, I wish they'd just let them play. And I'm like, yeah, that's what everyone says at the end of a game. So we shouldn't call anything, right? So if the quarterback
also that's what every player says.
Right. But if your quarterback gets hit helmet to helmet and gets a concussion, gets knocked out in the fourth quarter on a potential game-winning drive, you're going to want a flag, aren't you?
Right. Yeah, you just want to let them play.
Yeah, we should let them play.
Should I just start body slamming people?
Right.
We're just letting them play right now?
You got to have some line, right? So there's got to be something. And this was, maybe a little ticky-tack, but it's a hold.
In the end, it was enough. And people people are talking about, oh, the ball was uncatchable.
If he doesn't,
because he couldn't run
right,
his route.
Right, and that's why it was holding and not pass interference.
Which, by the way, this route it starts like a zig route, so it's like 3 steps in, and then you clamp both feet, and then you go back to the outside. But then he turns it into a fade upfield, which is kind of a wild route.
Right, because
he did it, and I was like, oh, that's why he's a professional.
You've got to change directions and turn when you're a defender, right, with him in motion, and that's hard.
Yeah, not only do you have to watch a double move off the snap, then you have to watch a zig move to come back, and then you're just using speed to keep up as he turns upfield.
And he used speed and some hands.
And when you don't got speed, you got hands. Did you see Juju Smith-Schuster's tweet today?
I did not.
He tweeted out, it was yesterday. He tweeted out a Valentine's Day card, and it had a picture of James Bradbury and a heart, and it said, "I'll hold you when you need me to."
Oh, that is very sweet. Very sweet.
So funny.
I hope he has a good sense of humor. I hope they have that they're
James
friends.
James did not seem to have a great sense of humor, and neither did AJ Brown, who jumped in and was trying to say that Juju Smith-Schuster was washed up until Patrick Mahomes revived his career. And I'm like, I don't know about all that. The Steelers weren't great.
Yeah, he didn't have the best of.
I'm sorry, AJ Brown. You were doing what before you came to Philly?
Mm-hmm. How's Ryan Tannehill?
Exits with Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah. Anyway. You know what? The trash talking is, of course, as Joe Burrow says, it's part of it's what makes it exciting. I don't know.
For them, for us, it just looks like whining.
It does. It looks a lot like whining.
On the field, like when somebody trash talks you, and you can then go out and burn them, or you can then go out and taunt them back or whatever. That's one thing. But when you're just watching 2 grown adults do it from a distance, like seeing people arguing in a grocery store, like, what's wrong with you two?
Yeah, this is a classic to the victor goes the spoils kind of a thing. You absolutely have the right to razz the other team a little bit. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Because you won.
Especially when he held you.
What are you going to do? And he knows he did. He knows he was wrong.
Especially when not only he held you, he admitted he held you.
It's funny, but
Valentine's Day, it's hilarious.
It might just be a little too soon. That's all.
It was too soon.
It might be
AJ Brown was quite pissed.
Yeah. And let's be honest, Harrison Butker could have just made the field goal, and this would have been a moot point anyway. The first one. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
but yeah, there's a lot of plays that could have happened, and there's a lot of things. I mean, Hurts hangs onto the football, and maybe they win, and there's all kinds of things that could happen. But that was you're right, clearly a hold. It was clearly the right call. The referee did what he was supposed to do. It just happened to be on the game-winning drive. And
the situation shouldn't matter.
It shouldn't matter. All right.
If you let the situation matter, then you effectively change the pace of the game.
So let's move on to the ones that Philadelphia was the beneficiary of, and we don't complain about that as much, which is Dallas Goedert catching the ball on the sideline on his helmet. He made a helmet catch that turned into a body catch that probably was incomplete.
I thought it was incomplete. And it's so funny because the people I was watching it with was a giant group of, I say Philly fans, but people who were rooting for Philly.
Yeah.
And just so everyone knows, my primary motivation for not rooting for Philly was that I don't want to have to listen to Alabama fans talk about how they have a Super Bowl winning quarterback.
Right.
Like it's an unbearable thing. Yeah. No, don't they have Joe Namath?
No, I mean, I don't want them ever to have to do that again.
Yeah. No, they still hang on to Broadway Joe like it's the end of the world, but I don't want it. So I'm over that. And that's why I was rooting against Philly mostly.
Right.
But I was with mostly Philly fans, and the moment he caught this, they're like, oh, and I was like, I don't know, guys.
Right.
He's doing a lot of work with his hands near his head and his chest, and he runs out of bounds. Like, they should look at this. And sure enough, they looked at it.
And yeah, he had 2 feet in. I mean, I get it, but he
the
moved.
Ball was on his head.
But he moved the ball.
It came out of both hands.
Out of both hands, right?
And
that was the problem.
He grabbed
because he only
at the chest.
And when he did that, he only had his right foot down at that point.
His right foot,
his left foot came down first. When the ball was still on his head, and then he let go. When he lets go and re-grabs it, his right foot's the only one on the ground.
Yeah,
and I'm like, that's not a catch. But yeah, we reviewed it and still said it was a catch, which is weird.
I do agree that unless you're going to shrink it down to like microseconds of when did that foot come off the ground versus when did the fingers re-grasp, is that possession? Like, it's just not enough. It wasn't quite clear.
If you watch it in full speed, it's a catch.
It looks like a catch, and even in a slightly slowed down speed, you could still make the argument for a catch.
Yeah.
I don't think it is because I understand how physics work.
But
I understand just because your hands are on it doesn't mean you're holding it.
I'm sorry, Philly fans. I don't think it was a catch, but it was a good catch though. I mean, it was a tough pass over the top of Snead, and it just dropped in there. And
it was a great throw.
It was a great throw. He put it right where he needed to be. If he could have caught it any cleaner with just his hands and not using the helmet or the part of, it would have been. It was beautiful.
I like this picture that you have up because where in the hell is this guy jumping on the right?
That was
Chiefs player.
Snead, if you look at his right hand,
yeah,
that was the one he tried to swat the ball away with. This is after the ball passed him.
He like turned sideways in the air and swatted at it up in the air. Okay,
yeah,
that's right.
And then
then this was him turning back.
Cook is trying to come in and dislodge the football, but he's too far away.
He's already out of bounds, man.
I know. Well, not quite yet.
Oh wait,
no,
never mind. That line right there is just.
No, that's on my background. Yeah.
I was like, wait a minute. There's the M's line right there.
No, he's still a ways away, but Cook was too far away to make a hit, a timely hit.
That's the one thing I'll give to Jalen Hurts. He made a couple throws like this
that were amazing,
that were over one and in front of another. They were great.
And he did it last week too against the Niners.
Yeah, but the Niners were all.
It's okay.
He was the worst quarterback on the field that day.
So let's talk about this catch.
Okay.
So this is Devontae Smith. Is this one a catch or no?
No way.
They're not even close to me.
Not even close.
And yet they got the they were the beneficiaries of this one too. Jerry Snead also involved in this one too.
Oh wait, they counted this one?
Yeah, it was catch.
Oh, I thought they ruled it not a catch.
No.
This was his big first 45-yard completion.
Yeah,
there's 45 yards of Jalen Hurts'
that clearly hit the ground and moved.
Clearly,
out of bounds. And I'm like, what? How do you not see that?
Again, I don't know what a catch is.
Right, because if you reviewed, and they reviewed this one too, and they still said it was a catch. That's two that went in Philly's favor that I don't think were catches. One of them you could argue, okay, but this one, no way. And, if you want to argue about the holding call, then we have to take this one into consideration because this was clearly a gift. So
yeah, the problem is like this. There's so much money and so much power behind the sport.
Yeah,
that you want definition in everything you do.
Right.
But you still kind of live by this. Oh my gosh, who was the Supreme Court justice who ruled on?
Night.
Who ruled on pornography? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, geez.
They were asking him like to define it, and he's like, I know it when I see it.
Clarence Thomas?
Is that maybe?
I don't know. Shoot, I don't know.
He said I'm looking up while we're talking, but he said I know it when I see it.
Well,
he said they asked him to define it.
We all do.
To try and challenge it, and he's like, I know. He's like, I don't know exactly what it is, but I know it when I see it. That's what catches have turned into.
Right.
Everyone knows it when they see it, but everyone sees it through whatever the scope of whatever team they're rooting for or whatever outcome they want in this moment. By the way, it was Justice Stewart.
Oh, I don't even know who that is. Anyway, so long story short, this is one of those things where if they had ruled it incomplete, it would have stayed incomplete. This would have been an incomplete pass. There's no way to overturn it. So that happens.
I actually think if they would have ruled it incomplete, they would have come out and say it's confirmed.
Right. Oh yeah, might have.
I think they would have confirmed the ruling with an incomplete, but instead it stood with a completion.
So let's talk about also Nick Sirianni. He's done a great job with the Eagles this year. His first year, I get it, right? First year? His first year, right? Anyway,
first year, taking over somebody else's team, doing well with them,
right? And they were great.
It's the Super Bowl way.
he obviously said before the game he was talking about emotion and the things he does on the sideline, and he's not going to apologize to anybody. If he gets emotional and about, there's a difference between emotional and being, what's the term I'm looking for? Taunting or being disrespectful, unsportsmanlike, sure.
Yeah.
Because he was borderline doing that all game.
All game.
And that bothers me. And I know it's part of the game, quote unquote, but your head coach, if you want to tell your players, fire up your players, that's one thing. But on the review of a play and they call a play back, that in the middle of the review, you want to tell the other team to come back on the field and wave over to them like, oh, this is going our way. And it doesn't. And I'm like, maybe you shouldn't be doing that because you're looking an idiot now. Don't do anything that makes you look like an idiot in the middle of the football game. That's all I ever ask of anybody. But he did a lot of things. And I know, I understand he's emotional and I get it. I'm okay with emotion. Positive emotion for your team when they do something good. Absolutely. But to taunt the other team with things, I'm not okay with the head coach doing that. Players, I get it. That happens because it's going on all game. But I don't think coaches should be doing it.
You try and pump them up with a ton of testosterone.
Sure.
A lot of attitude anyway, so it's bound to happen.
Did you feel like
that could just rub off on a coach?
Did you feel like his sideline behavior was okay for an NFL head coach?
Problem is, I think, is if you want to create a standard for how an NFL head coach should act, no.
So,
but if you want to let coaches kind of be who they are and do what they do, everyone's a little different. Like Bill Belichick was not going to give you anything on the side.
No.
It's the most boring person to watch.
Or in an interview.
Good play, bad play, it doesn't matter. Win the Super Bowl, you just kind of...
Not at halftime, not after the game.
Right. Yeah. But on the flip side, Andy Reid will get really animated when a player screws up.
But
I've seen him red in the face a bunch of times between Philly and Kansas City,
right,
yelling at a player. So...
But he doesn't come out and taunt the other team or tease the other team or, antagonize.
But the kicker is younger coaches.
Right, young guys, yeah.
The younger Mike McDaniels was walking around pregame warm-ups wearing T-shirts that were taunting other teams.
Yeah, I don't
like things like that. Like there's a younger wave of coaches around right now that are less afraid of the players on the field and the coaches on the other side because it doesn't matter.
I guess.
What Nick Sirianni didn't change anything.
No,
right?
it didn't.
However, the moment that turns from, banter to shoving a player, tripping a player or something like that, like you start changing. And next thing you're trying to fight a coach, in the handshake line.
Right.
That's a different story, right? That's no longer emotional. That's hot-headed.
So when you have gosh, how do I want to say this? When you have a coach that behaves like he behaved and you win, he's cocky. That's how they label him. He's a cocky, he's emotional, he's cocky, and he gets out there and he's all, I get it. But when you lose, if you do the same things and you lose, you're just an asshole. I mean, you just look like an asshole. You come off as the bad guy.
The only thing you have to do, again, you can never put hands on somebody. You can never take it from a verbal level that isn't not. You can do insulting things, but you can't necessarily say insulting words. You know what I mean? Like if a receiver is running by, you can't be calling him trash.
I mean, you
but
can.
if he drops the ball, you can sit there and wave your hands, no catch all day.
Right, and that's different.
See what I mean? It's an insulting motion, but it's not an insulting phrasing. But after the game, when you lose, if you want to be that way, all you have to do is be willing to eat it.
Yeah, correct.
You have to be willing to say, "Damn, they smoked us. They worked us today,
and they did."
I got all fired up, and I talked a little trash, and they proved me wrong.
And they did.
Just wear it. If you wear it, nobody will ever hate you for very long.
And I think most of the Eagles and the things that I've seen have been that way. They were very
small things.
Yeah, they were very much,
It's annoying. I agree. I would not do it. I don't think you would do it, and I don't think most people I know would have that kind of general candor about them. But it's annoying.
I also grew up watching Tom Landry coach the Dallas Cowboys in a suit and a hat. And if you saw him do anything, it was just yell at a player briefly. I mean, for about a half a second, he would, yell something, and then he'd be right back to calm and cool. Don Shula. Those are the head coaches that I watched growing up. They don't get emotional. I mean, when you're winning the Super Bowl, it's one thing. There's an emotional moment, or when you win a big game, there's smiles and there's cheers and this, but they don't go out and
not a lot of negative emotion.
There was no negative emotion. They were very stoic about it.
Except to your own team when a person screwed up, and usually it's kind of tempered.
Yeah, right. And even then, it wasn't as big a blow up as, it wasn't like a Bo Pelini moment in Nebraska where you grab the guy by the face mask and you yank him over to you and you yell at him on national TV.
Oh, who is the Washington coach who got fired?
Oh, crap.
2 years ago.
Yeah.
For doing that.
Yeah. Same thing.
I feel like it happens in college a lot. That's because college. It's because like a 21-year-old kid is a dumb person. So
they are.
So I could see getting.
They are.
I don't think I would ever be able to coach college kids because I have way too short a fuse for grown people, let alone children.
And it's funny because the younger they go, the farther down you go, the more, I don't want to say stupid, but the more stupid they get. And as a coach, and I've been a coach on many teams of different kinds, and it's hard when you tell them point blank, here's what we're going to do. and they don't they don't do it. They do something completely different. And you go, what part of that did you not understand? But it's just like being a parent, and I'm I'm going to use you guys as an example. It's just like being a parent. There are many times I said, hey, this is what you need to do, and you don't do it, and you go, what part of that did you not understand?
I thought I laid it out pretty clearly.
I mean, I feel like I was fairly explicit.
But if there's one thing good to glean from this whole thing is that in that video of him like waving him back, Jalen Hurts was being the mature one in the video.
Right. Yeah.
Like he starts holding his arm down. That's a good
that's
level
amazing.
Of confidence.
Yeah.
And then they looked at each other and laughed. Like they clearly were having a good time with
sure.
it.
And I get it. And that's just I know it's just his personality and his behavior, and I understand that that's how he's going to be. I don't understand it because I was never raised that way. The people that I watched never played that way, and I would never condone it if I was the coach of somebody else on the team to do.
To quote White Goodman, he likes to break a mental sweat as well.
Right? I read about it in a book. Anyway, yeah. So let's talk about a couple of coaching changes, shall we?
Okay.
Well, hold on. Let's back up. First of all, where's my pictures of the field, which I don't have. Apparently, I didn't load them in the system.
Yeah, we got to talk about that.
Maybe I did, and maybe I didn't. Let's go see if they're forward. Nope. I got nothing.
Well, we can just talk about it.
Well, I'll go back to it. Maybe there's a picture of the field on here.
Maybe just a
glimpse of it. There we go. That's not a good one. But
that's good enough.
I'm gonna find one. No, that's not a good one.
I don't know. What color was the Gatorade?
Oh,
was it blue?
The Gatorade was purple. Grape, I hope. Yeah, the fierce one.
Purple?
That's purple, easily. Yeah.
So purple.
That's my
purple
favorite.
Is historically, the winner.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is that how it works?
There's been more purple Gatorades than anything else. People were pissed because no one saw the Gatorade dump on national television.
Oh.
They didn't show it, and then they didn't show the
it?
replay. So there's all these people with prop bets out there.
Yeah.
On the
on what color it was, or when it was going to happen, or
it's usually what color it is.
Oh gosh. So
and purple had the lowest odds, but hey, if you chose water, you'd be getting paid out like crazy.
Here's the picture. Here's the best picture I have of the field, probably with any kind of chewed upness. So this field. Here's the true or false, the yes or no question for you. The NFL needs to stop playing games at State Farm Stadium because of the field conditions. Yes or no?
No.
No?
No.
So this field has been this bad for at least 12 years. We watched Oregon and Auburn play a national championship game on this in January of 2011, and they had to change cleats because the field was so bad. Right. And this is the same thing that happened in this game. They literally said, oh, well, we just grew the turf 2 weeks ago. We just installed it 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
What? What do you mean you put a whole new turf on the field?
Their timeline's weak. We agree.
Yeah. And so everything gets chewed up, and it was a factor in the football game.
A little bit.
I mean,
all right. So there's two things to this. Number one, Travis Kelce and his brother Jason Kelce have a podcast called New Heights, and they talk about. They just had a new episode came out today, and I listened to it this morning, kind of in preparation for this show, and they talk about the turf, and neither one of them had a problem. So offensive linemen and skill position, neither one of them had an issue.
Correct.
And they brought up a couple great points that I had thought about prior to this. Guys who, so yes, the turf is new. It's fairly fresh. It's going to be softer. It's not going to be as well rooted. That's on them. They need to plant the turf earlier. This needs to be, they need to have two of these things.
Right.
And have that grass baking for a month and a half. It doesn't need to be 2 weeks in advance.
It's on a big tray. You can just slide it out.
But guys who run on their toes. So there's this new wave of cleats that are like soccer cleats. They're missing the whole middle section of your foot cleat wise. So it's like bare in the middle, and there's a section of cleating at the toe and a section of cleating at the heel. Really? But they've moved from 8 cleats down to 5 cleats.
Ooh.
So if you're wearing your standard normal USA soccer style cleat or football soccer style cleat, you only have 5 toe cleats. Now think about all of your skill positions that are running on their toes, hard cutting on their toes.
Yeah.
You have no cleating in the ground, and they're short studs too. They're normal molded spikes.
Really?
You have no cleating in the ground. You're putting a ton of force into a small concentrated area. What do you think's going to happen?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just kind of an adjustment you have to make because Travis Kelce saying I have to plant with my whole foot, and I was getting plenty of traction. He made the adjustment to 1/4-inch spikes away from molded cleats, and that was perfectly fine. Jason Kelsey said he played the whole game in his normal molded cleats and he didn't have any issues.
I would argue that the offense, who knows where they're going, has the advantage. When you have to make
I would agree.
When you have to make a sudden change because the receiver makes a change, the defense has to make a sudden plant and turn. That's when you get the chewed up turf that slides out from underneath you. And now a running back could argue also that the running backs, when they have to plant and turn, that we did see some of that. You did see some guys slip, and you saw the kicker for the Eagles slip and fall down.
Oh yeah, absolutely. He had a big slip.
Yeah, Elliott. So it was. I'm not saying it was a factor in the end of result of the football game because both teams have to deal with it. That's a factor, right? Everybody's got to deal with it. But if on the last play, let's assume on the last field goal attempt, Harrison Butker goes out, plants his left foot, and the whole turf slides out from underneath him, and he misses that field goal, and Philadelphia goes on to win, then yes, the field was a factor. And that's definitely something that could have happened, but it didn't.
It didn't. And you're right. Both teams have to deal with it. This is we talk about all the time. Like, why is there no home field advantages? Why do we not play in weather? Why is everything indoors?
For perfect conditions is what we're after.
For perfect conditions, but more specifically for an equal condition.
Well,
not a condition that favors one person more than another.
But
this kind of steers not towards one team or the other. But this is fairly neutral, but it is a problem that both teams have to deal with. I kind of like I think it should be turf. I don't think it should be grass. This grass stuff needs to knock it off, and Odell Beckham Jr. needs to shut up about it. Right? Like your knee isn't blown out because of that. Your knee is blown out because you didn't hit the gym, bud.
Strengthen the muscles around it, man. So I
work on those quads, man. That's all it is. You got chicken legs. I got bigger legs than you, and I'm not doing that much work.
They have a machine for that.
They have a whole machine.
Yeah.
I bench pressed 420 today, or leg pressed 420 today.
There you go.
I'm just saying, I could do 2 Odells with that. But
maybe 2 and a little over 2.
Little on-air brag about my weights,
yeah.
but I just think that it's kind of an equalizer.
I think the NFL needs to eliminate this from happening. I don't know how you do it. If that means you got to put turf in or whatever, that's great. Do what you got to do, or play them just in stadiums that have turf.
Yeah,
that's fine. I'm okay with that.
Glendale's gonna. It's been being phased out a little bit. They've had two games there in the last however much time.
And that's the problem.
The problem is it's a big destination.
Right.
It's outdoors.
Right.
It has a massive infrastructure. Sorry, it's not outdoors. It can be outdoors. But it has a massive infrastructure for hosting Super Bowls.
And that's great. And I'm all about that. And by the way, I'm going to Arizona second week in March, and so I'm going to go look.
Tell me how the turf is.
I'm going to go look.
See if they'll let you in.
Yeah, maybe. Just knock on the door.
If it's outside, just walk on.
Right.
Feel it out.
I'm pretty sure that's allowed. But what I'm saying is, I feel like the NFL has an obligation to make sure that the field isn't any kind of factor, right, in the game. And yeah, both teams have to play on it. But if this became a factor and it decided the football game, right? Let's say you had the last play and let's say Philadelphia had a shot and they threw the ball to the end zone on the last play of the game and they were behind, and the defensive back turns and stops and slips and falls down and the wide receiver catches the football for a touchdown. Yes, we've got a problem because that should not have happened. It's going to happen on a turf field eventually if it gets chewed up enough, but why is where we're playing the Super Bowl have that possibility of even happening? This is the ultimate game in the ultimate sport in the United States. I feel like that should never happen.
What do you think if you have to pick one stadium to host Super Bowl kind of forever or for the next 10 years?
Okay.
Which stadium are you choosing?
Ooh, one stadium to host the Super Bowl
next 10 years.
Next 10 years. So there's a number of good choices. Minnesota.
That was my first choice.
Yeah, Minnesota's a good one.
Minnesota's a beautiful stadium.
Yeah, I think
cold in February.
Well, yeah, but it's turf and it's, you know what I mean.
I hope your number 2 is my number 2 as well.
If I had to pick a second one,
I feel like the second one's obvious.
Well, it's Dallas, right?
Jerry's World.
Yeah.
Jerry's World.
Yeah.
Biggest, but it has an even bigger infrastructure to host football games
Correct.
and events than even Glendale does.
But I think if you wanted to make sure it was an outdoor game and the field was in good shape, Miami's a good choice.
No.
Miami's a really good choice. Yeah, it absolutely is.
In February?
Because the weather's nice. You won't have teams that have just played 6 games on it in every single bowl game is played there, because Arizona, that stadium has every bowl game is played there. There's a national championship game, or there's a playoff game, or the Fiesta Bowl, and the week before it there's another bowl game, and everybody has chewed up that field all year long. And the Cardinals play all their games.
Average temperature range of 75 to 64
yeah.
in February.
Yeah, perfect.
That's too hot for it's too hot for Kansas City, who plays outdoors.
That shouldn't be.
In December,
they both have. Philadelphia does too.
I hear what you're saying.
They're both cold weather teams.
I don't want hydration becoming a factor.
Oh, it doesn't matter.
It shouldn't. But right. I don't want it. All right. So let me change that for you then. What's your next favorite indoor stadium?
So
after Minnesota, after Jerry's World, mine's Atlanta.
Yeah, it's a good place. I mean,
it's brand new.
It hosts a lot of things already. SoFi,
when they get the area built up around SoFi a little more, because they're building this whole entire set of hotels,
Las
and
Vegas,
plazas and things like that. Las Vegas next year.
Yeah.
Me and a couple friends are talking.
Yeah.
We're spitballing here about maybe trying to go to Las Vegas for a Super Bowl next year.
That's an expensive proposition. That's all I'm saying. You have to sleep in your car, but other than that,
we all have an agreement that whenever our team gets to the Super Bowl, we're gonna try and go.
Okay.
We're gonna try and spend a little money.
You're 6 years away.
Oh, I'm like 7 years away. Whenever Russ retires, we'll then have the salary cap to make it happen.
I'm sorry. I already know my team's not going, so I never have to worry about it.
I mean, your team can't decide if they want to keep their coach who just won them 12 games or whatever.
It's just one big
Dolphins
concussion waiting to happen. That's all.
All right, so you have a coach who may or may not be a revelation, but is also kind of a child. You're not really sure. You have a quarterback who can't stay healthy.
Yeah.
You have an ownership group that's trying to backdoor transactions with Tom Brady. The Dolphins are a hot mess.
We could still land him too, by the way.
I mean, he submitted his retirement paperwork. By the way, did you see J.J. Watt's tweet about that?
No.
He goes, I was unaware there was paperwork to submit. I will not be doing that. but I am retired.
I love J.J. Watt. Did you see his post after the NFL honors?
No, what did he say?
After the NFL honors, he put out a tweet and he said, our Uber driver after the NFL honors sucked. He goes, 1-star review is what he said, right? And so I looked and saw who the driver was. It was his brother. That's hilarious.
That's funny.
So JJ Watt's a funny guy. I like JJ Watt. The Dolphins are terrible, and I have no illusions that team is ever going to do anything other than be a potential playoff team. I mean, that's the best they can do.
First round, second round, maybe.
Right now, until you fix it, and I honestly think and this is terrible to say, you're going to have to go out and fix that quarterback position. That's going to cost you a shit ton of money.
Yeah, it is.
Because he's not going to be able to play forever. That's not going to happen.
They said they're sticking with him.
But the next hit he gets next year, he's going to be done.
He's going to take a big shot in week 2. And all right, integrity wise, we're going to say we would never do this.
Well, this is one of those gray areas.
But if you're a coach and you're saying, "Hey, Tua takes off from the pocket," thump him.
You might have to tag him a little bit.
Yeah, he might if both feet aren't on the white out of bounds.
Right.
Put a lick on him.
I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do.
You're not trying to kill the guy, but also it's a multi-million-dollar business. Every game has millions of dollars on it.
Right.
It's a tough way to live. And as Mike McDaniel and as the Dolphins, you can't take that chance.
No, and if you end his career, you're done. So I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah. If you're the guy that kills Tua.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Oh, but also maybe that's an advantage. No
Killing
one's going
Tua?
to be the guy that kills Tua.
Oh, that's true. That's a good point. Yeah, you don't want to be that guy that lays the hit on him.
No one's going to lay a big hit on him because they don't want to be the guy who does that.
Well, it's going to have to be Damar Hamlin.
Oh my gosh, Damar Hamlin kills Tua.
Damar Hamlin and Tua head to head.
The dream, the dream scenario.
Either one. They just both go down. I don't
get off on a tangent.
That's terrible. That's terrible. All right.
That's not fun.
But anyway. All right.
Good Super Bowl.
Let's talk about commercials.
Super
Bowl commercials, which I love. This is the best part of the Super Bowl. I'll be honest. This one, the game was good. Oh, wait. Stop. Let's go back.
Yeah.
What happened? Where the hell just happened?
I don't know. It just bounced around. You clicked on something. You moved something.
Yeah, but I'm trying to go back to... There we go. This is where I want to be.
Take it easy.
Stop. No, not stop. Just pause.
Yeah, gotta do that.
There we go. All right, now we're there. All right. So
Okay.
we're gonna talk about some things. So your favorite commercials. So we had a lot of commercials. There was a crap ton. I just wrote down some of them. The E-Trade Baby Wedding, which we're looking at right here. I love the E-Trade babies.
It's pretty good.
I mean, let's be honest. We had the celebrity snack fridge. What was it called? No, Snacking with the Stars.
Snacking with the Stars.
That commercial. I had the hardest time finding any pictures of it. And there were so many people in that thing. Daniel Craig, and Kate Hudson, and freaking Snoop Dogg, and I mean everybody's in that. John Hamm, everybody's in that commercial, and it was great. It just kind of happened all of a sudden. It was before the actual game started, so maybe that's part of the thing.
Snoop Dogg's with the charcuterie boards, right?
Right, the charcuterie boards. I mean, it was a great commercial, and I thought it was fantastic. Just because you got to see all these people digging through the fridge and saying Keegan Michael Key with the Post-it note on a sandwich.
I like that Snoop Dogg cussed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey,
There's no other Keegan Michaels here, right? And then you had the Hellman's Mayo commercial with Pete Davidson, Brie, and Ham. I get it. It's play on words.
He really is everywhere.
John Hamm. Yeah, he really is.
No, Pete. Pete
Davidson.
What he says about Pete Davidson. He really is everywhere.
He really is. We had the Will Ferrell EV, the GMC EV commercial with the zombies.
It's all right.
It was okay.
It was a little funny.
We had the Popcorners Breaking Bad.
Popcorners was hilarious.
And it got one of the worst reviews, by the way, of the commercials. It was listed on the worst commercials list of like 3 different people. And
really?
I'm sitting here reading them online. I'm like,
people
how do you
just like to hate things?
What? Well, they said, well, this is beneath their show, beneath their empire to be hawking popcorn chips. And I'm like, what?
The show is done. Who gives a crap?
They were hawking meth.
Yeah. The
anyway.
standard is kind of low.
Right. But I love that they had the same people, you know what I mean? That everybody was in it, and that was great.
Had Tuco and Jesse
Tuco.
and everyone. Yeah.
Okay, so we had the Diddy Don't Do Jingles.
Don't Do Jingles is hilarious.
It was pretty funny, especially when they brought out the Fox guys. What does the Fox say? And I started laughing. We had the Rockstar one from Workday, right?
The Rockstar one was great.
Yeah, with Billy Idol and that's Ace. Anyway,
Ace Frehley
from Kiss, and
when Billy Idol was on there, somebody was like, somebody in the room, because the average age of person I watched this, so it might have been like 27.
Yeah,
they were much younger.
They didn't know Billy Idol.
Up the average, but yeah, they were like, who is that? And I'm like, it's freaking Billy Idol. And they're like, who? And I'm like, War Wedding.
Right, and then they know.
They're like, oh, that song. Like, yeah.
And Ozzy Osbourne, right, in his office attire. I'm Oswald. Anyway. Right, and so there was that one. There was the Steve Martin, Ben Stiller, Pepsi. 2 different commercials, but this commercial that advertised it beforehand was better than the 2 commercials in the show.
Yeah,
and so I like this one where he's overactor.
Talk about being an actor.
Yeah, overactor, underactor. But it was okay. You had the Miller Lite, Coors Light, Blue Moon commercial.
Yeah.
Right, where the Miller Lite and the Coors Light guys are sitting there fighting about it. That was great. And then he said, actually, it's a Blue Moon commercial. Funny, because it's all the same company, right?
Yeah.
And then we had the Dunkin' Donuts Ben Affleck commercial, right? That was great. That might be my favorite. J-Lo, right?
You mean when you're going to work?
Right. And he goes, not in front of my friends.
So grab me a glaze.
Grab me. Yeah. That was a good commercial. That's a solid commercial. And then we had, of course, the Michelob Ultra with Tony Romo, which I like the Tony Romo part. Everybody else can.
It was all right.
It was all right. It was overblown. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was too much. Yeah, it was too much. If they had just shown him doing the whole Cinderella story thing, I think it would have been great.
Yeah.
I agree. All right. So, and then you had the John Travolta Scrubs T-Mobile commercial.
That was a good one.
That was a pretty good one. Yeah. And then we had the T-Mobile Bradley Cooper and his mom.
That was funny.
Which was funny in the fact that he said that he's been nominated however many times but you haven't won one.
You haven't won one.
That's a classic mom line.
I kept looking at him going, what's wrong with his hair?
Right. You know, you don't have to shower if you're a T-Mobile salesman, apparently.
Looking a little messy.
Pretty scrubby. And then Dave Grohl.
The Canada one.
With the Crown Royal Thank You Canada one, right? I thought, at first I'm like, what are we talking about? What is this for? Right? And then the Crown Royal thing appears, and I'm like, oh, that's quite funny, actually.
I thought that was my favorite.
Yeah?
Yeah. I like Dave Grohl, so.
Dave Grohl is pretty good. Pretty good sense of humor. The whoopee cushion I thought was the best part, so. Thank you, Canada.
Thank you,
Canada. For all of that. And so now I got to go back because we skipped over some things. Let's go this way.
There's some good shots of the turf right in there. Damn.
Well, yeah, let's go back here because I got some things we got to talk about. We didn't talk about. So Shane Steichen.
Yeah.
Is going to be the where did I put it? Indianapolis Colts next head coach. Steichen was the offensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles for the past 2 seasons. And see, now I'm gone too far. There he is. Anyway, offensive coordinator for the Eagles for the last 2 seasons, and was Justin Herbert's offensive coordinator in L.A. during Herbert's rookie season when he was the Football Writers Rookie of the Year. I think that's a big deal. That's a good signing for them, but also they're going to lose Jonathan Gannon, the defensive coordinator, who the Arizona Cardinals have hired to replace Cliff Kingsbury.
I still can't believe they fired Cliff Kingsbury. I didn't think. I think everyone in the world believed that the problems weren't Cliff,
right?
But that it was Tua. One, being hurt all the time nowadays, last 2 years, and 2, just not being capable.
Kyler Murray.
Oh, sorry, Kyler Murray, not Tua. Sorry.
Yeah, I know what you meant.
The other guy, yeah.
The other one. Yeah. And so I don't know. Anyway, so the Eagles are already losing both coordinators.
Yeah.
And a number of players are going to be in free agents next year. That includes, oh my gosh, I can't even remember who all they are. I want to say Javon Hargrave. I want to say Fletcher Cox is a free agent. Anyway, they're losing 11 or 12 starters. Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be huge.
That might have been their only chance, you know what I mean, to win a Super Bowl. Yeah. And I apologize for this picture. This picture's not great, but Derek Carr also was released by the Raiders, by the way.
Good for him.
He wouldn't waive his no trade contract. Good
for him.
And he wouldn't move his date. So they had no choice but to cut him before his $40.4 million were guaranteed. And he's going to find a new home. So the question is, where does he go? And the reason I included this picture mostly is because the Jets are one of those landing places people are talking about, that he could fit in the Jets, and they're already good, right? And he can make them better. That's a possibility. I also threw this in there, Indianapolis, just saying, as an option. It's going to come down to who has the money to pay him.
I'm not a big Derek Carr fan, but I'm happy that after the stunt that the Raiders pulled on him late in the season, that he's like, no, I'm not going to let you trade me and give you anything. Anything. You're just going to lose it.
So let me throw some conditions at you. Okay? Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, Will Levis, Anthony Richardson, all projected to be top 10 picks.
Right.
And also Aaron Rodgers, who, after his darkness retreat...
we'll find out more at the end of this week.
I heard them say darkness retreat, and I'm like, what? Anyway, it fits right in with all the other Aaron Rodgers crap that happens. But so those guys being available, Aaron Rodgers also being maybe available, where does Derek Carr go? And I'm going to give you a list of teams, and you tell me if one of these is correct. New Orleans.
No.
The Jets.
No.
Carolina.
No.
Houston.
That's not bad. It's not the best team on that list. There are better teams on that list, but it's a team that has high picks and a lot of upside.
Indianapolis.
That is a great place for him.
Tampa Bay.
They got so much. Nah, you don't want Tampa. Tampa's got injury issues. They got a couple guys who are going to leave.
Yeah.
Like, you don't want it.
Right. Now, some of these teams are going to pick, like I said, Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud. They're going to pick those players up because...
I think Indianapolis would be wise to make a serious run at him.
Okay. That's not a bad issue. And I think some of this is going to have to do with whether Aaron Rodgers is going to move or not, too. Whichever one of these guys signs first is going to sway the way the rest of it goes. You know what I mean? Aaron Rodgers may just stay in Green Bay. I don't know. But I feel like, we won't know until after the darkness retreat.
The problem with the Colts is that I'm pretty sure they're still paying Matt Ryan next year.
Yeah. They've got some issues. And that's the thing, is that Houston is the team that has the money to do this.
Yes, that's exactly right. Yeah. I mean, I think that it looks like they're not going to have any cap space. So I guess Indianapolis has 11.8 million in cap space.
Yeah.
If everything stays exactly the same, nobody gets
Right.
extended or nobody goes up in pay or anything like that. But they could also cut a couple people because Matt Ryan next year is going to make $19 million.
Yeah.
But Shaquille Leonard's, 15 million. DeForest Buckner's 18. They got a lot of people they're paying money to.
Yeah, they do.
But that's a team that has so much infrastructure already.
Right.
That, man, if you can convince them to come in, if he's smart and money's not like a concern for him, he should take a pay decrease and go there.
Right.
He should say, like, hey, let's call it $9 million for the season with some bonuses in the playoffs. Things like that, and we'll be good.
The problem is when you take less money, then everybody else has to take less money because they'll say, "Well, look, he took only $9 million," and that's been the issue with pay
the
in general.
NFLPA will push against
we'll
it.
nix
like,
against
you
it.
Can't take too
low. You can't go that low.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, but it's going to be interesting to see where he lands. He's a good quarterback. I'm not a huge fan of Derek Carr's, but he is very capable of taking a team that already has some talent and making them pretty good. The question is he that guy that can push you over the top, or is he a game manager that you need for a team that already is good and needs somebody in the quarterback position to just not turn the ball over?
He's much better than, like, when you start looking back on his body of work, you start going, oh crap, he's done some things. Oh, he's made some good plays. He's done a lot of good stuff. And he did it at times with not great players.
Right.
And he did it at times with great players. So he was consistent between the two. So you can't really say, like, oh, well, he had Devontae Adams.
Right.
Like that sort of thing. He's done it for a long time without Devontae Adams, without Josh Jacobs being healthy. I think he's more than a game manager. I'm not sure he's, your bona fide superstar. I'm not sure he's the guy that's taking you, top shelf is going to win you a Super Bowl, but he's definitely a guy who's going to bring you close. But the other pieces around you can take it over the top.
Let me throw you the dark horse that I heard just today.
Okay.
San Francisco.
Oh my gosh.
Right? Because we don't know who's going to be able to play.
If they do that, after, well, all right, assuming they have a clear timeline on Brock Purdy's recovery, right? UCL injuries are a big deal when you're throwing arm.
Yeah, for sure.
That's I would be more concerned about a UCL injury than I ever would about an ACL tear.
Right.
That being said, assuming Brock Purdy's set to come back and start next season, or set to come back and he will be available to play, if you don't go with Brock Purdy, you just are going to start giving the appearance of a pretty shitty organization.
Correct. It's true.
Because you tried to shaft Jimmy G, and now you're trying to shaft Brock Purdy as well. Like, my goodness, nobody's going to want to come play for you.
But if you decide at some point in time that maybe that Trey Lance is expendable now, right?
They have to. Have to.
And Jimmy G.
Yeah.
We get Derek Carr, and we go with Carr and Purdy. And we don't know who the star is going to be. They're going to have to compete it out in camp, right?
Yeah.
If you do it that way, if you do it the right way, there's possibility that you can. I mean, I understand.
You can sell it like we want to stack talent here, but we want to make sure we're doing it right.
We want to make sure we have the best guy at quarterback, and because our team is just that player away from winning.
Yeah.
And maybe they can work it out that way. I don't know, but I don't know if they have the money to do that. I mean, they're paying a lot of players a lot of money. Christian McCaffrey and Bosa.
I'm looking here at Trey Lance's stats, by the way.
Yeah.
Just kind of peek at him because I was like, man, he hasn't done that much. He's thrown 102 passes, 56 completions on his entire career.
Yeah.
41 completions one year, 15 completions this year.
Yeah.
He's 1-1 as a quarter, or 2-2 total, 1-1 each season as a quarterback. I don't know. There's just, I don't want to call him a bust yet.
Well, no.
But my instincts are saying he's a bust.
Well, your instincts are saying that he's going to get hurt again.
Yeah, and that's part. So, okay, I had this argument with somebody the other day. Is Zion Williamson a bust? And the question and the argument is that when he's on the court, he's incredible.
Right.
But part of ability is availability.
Right.
All right. And if you are not available to play, would I take a first-round pick? Would I use the number 1 overall first-round pick on a guy who's only going to play a quarter of the next 4 seasons?
Right.
Probably not.
Even half.
Or even half. That makes you a bust for that pick. Now, would I make that same pick on somebody in the second round? Probably.
Yeah,
especially
maybe.
at that talent upside.
Yeah.
You might consider that. But that makes you not a bust for that. But for a number 1 overall, Zion Williamson, so far, and don't get me wrong, he could rattle off 4 titles in a row, and that all changes real fast.
Yeah.
It's a delayed start, I guess is what you would call it, delayed entry or something like that.
I don't.
But so far he's a bust. Trey Lance so far is a bust for where he was drafted at.
Sure, for sure.
Yeah,
and
they got to move on from him, I think. So I think it's between Brock Purdy and Carr.
And I think you found your starting quarterback in Brock Purdy if he's going to be healthy.
If the UCL isn't
if
too
he's going to recover, right? If
Yep.
not, you got to make sure you've got that. And the reason why they brought Jimmy G back is because we weren't 100% sure, right?
Right.
And you have to be less sure this season than you were last year.
That's correct.
I mean, you got to be. So anyway, but yeah, I think you got to get rid of Lance and Jimmy G and just go with somebody else. Or, I mean, maybe you bring back Jimmy G and have him as the backup to Brock Purdy if he's okay with that, which he was last year.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Anyway. But there's a lot of quarterbacks hitting the market. Baker Mayfield's going to be available. Not that a lot of people want him. Sam Darnold's an available quarterback. Jimmy Garoppolo's available. Teddy Bridgewater, he's a backup. Daniel Jones is a free agent next year.
New England's another interesting landing spot if Derek Carr were to go to New England.
Yeah, you go get yourself on that team. Right now, Geno Smith, your current reigning comeback player of the year, is going to be.
It's another one.
Is going to be available. Which, by the way, I saw a tweet the other day that was like, defensive end for Philly,
Hassan Reddick.
Hassan Reddick came back from tearing ACLs in both knees back-to-back years.
Yeah.
To lead the league in sacks and go to the Super Bowl, blah, blah, blah. And somebody was like, why is he not to come back a year? Where did Geno Smith come back from? The bench.
Yeah, right. And by the way, did I ever cover the trivia question? No, because we stopped and did the
You said I got a trivia question and then you detoured.
Yeah, we went and did the range commercial.
The range thing, and then we got into the microwave thing.
Right. All right. Let's do it now because we're gonna be done here in a minute anyway because
that's all right.
We're going over.
We'll get it.
Yeah. So let's do the trivia question right now. Stave and Stone trivia question is: of the 57 Super Bowl winners, how many have won the coin toss? That's the question. Easy number. That's all I want to know.
Oh my God! I saw this the other day.
Right.
I saw it.
How important is the coin toss? Is the question. That's what I was wondering. You see the coin toss, and everybody who wins it always defers anyway.
But there was a streak of people losing it.
There was.
It was 8 teams in a row, or 9 teams in a row, or 10 teams in a row had lost it.
But how many people that have won the coin toss have won the Super Bowl? 57 chances. How many times does that happen? That's the question. I know, right?
But it's also 50-50 on the coin toss.
Right. So anyway.
Jeez, that's tough.
I know, it's a tough question, but I thought it would be kind of fun to talk about for a minute. Let's talk briefly, and I mean briefly, about a couple more things. And then we'll call it quits. Or do we just want to stop and we'll save everything for next week?
Let's talk about a little more.
Okay. So let's talk about the NBA real quick.
Okay.
The Portland Trailblazers. Now they're 28-30, 11th in the Western Conference after they beat the LeBron-less Lakers Monday night, 127-115 at the Moda Center. Lillard has 40 points, including 8 3-pointers. And the Blazers hit 23 as a team. That's like a team high, team record. They were one away. They were one away from the team record. They were 23 of 47. By the way, that's 48.9% from 3-point range. It's hard to beat a team that's hitting those. Only 7
tough one.
Only 7 turnovers in that game against the Lakers. And you're not going to beat a team that doesn't give you the ball and hits every 3 they throw up. So it was Lillard's 11th 40th point game this season. He's now 4th in the league in scoring at 31.2 points per game. Yesterday they played the Wizards in their last game before the All-Star break. They lost. They really didn't ever really have a chance. 126-101. Lillard had 39 in this one. And I'm going to tell you my favorite thing. Drew Eubanks starts as kind of the center in this game,
right?
Because Nurkic is out, and I thought Nurkic was going to be gone.
Yeah.
By now,
we thought he was going to get bounced at the trade deadline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Drew Eubanks starts kind of at center because he's the only big guy that they have that's available. I love Drew Eubanks' stat lines. Every time I look at the Portland box score, I look at what did Drew Eubanks do. He is probably the most value of any player on your team outside of Lillard. And it's sad to say that, but listen, Drew Eubanks in this game against Washington had 3 points. He was 1 of 4 shooting, 1 free throw, right? Okay. 11 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, and 4 blocks. those hustle plays like that are amazing. Just it's amazing when every time I read his stat line, he's loaded with rebounds and blocks and steals, and I'm like, how does a guy who's 6 foot whatever, how does he get those steals? I like Drew Eubanks as a player. I think he's great. He's not a starter. He's your 6th guy or whatever, 7th guy, I don't know, but he's not going to lead you to a title of any stretch. But he is that guy off the bench that gives you that boost when you need that boost. And I just like watching him play. Anyway, there's that. So,
interesting.
For whatever that matters. Portland doesn't play again until Thursday the 23rd, February 23rd.
Yeah, big All-Star break.
That's 9 days off before they play again, which is a lot. Anyway, I love these Portland uniforms, by the way, the black with the carpet.
PDX.
Yeah, those are beautiful.
You don't find it to be too much?
No, I
too on the head?
I like it.
Okay.
I like the color combination, and I like the fact they did black with just that color. They didn't try and go like all blue or whatever. You know what I mean? It just has a splash of the carpet, which I think is fantastic. I traditionally I love the Blazers in red.
Yeah, I agree.
But this uniform is a good looking alternate uniform, just in general.
I completely agree.
All right,
I think it's fantastic.
Let's also talk about why do I not have any of the other pictures in here, by the way? I don't know. So we're gonna have to do this the old-fashioned way. I guess we'll watch the Portland pictures while we talk about the rest of the NBA. The Brooklyn Nets. Let's talk about them. They went all in on the rebuilding. February 5th, Kyrie Irving goes to Dallas along with Markieff Morris. The Nets got Spencer Dinwiddie, Dorian Finney-Smith, and a 2029 first round and 2 second-round picks. On February 7th, the Nets send Kessler Edwards to Sacramento with cash considerations. Cash, I don't know what that means, cash considerations. But that's what they said. Yeah, that's what they sent. For the rights,
such a weird phrasing.
For the rights to draft David Michino, right? Do you know who that is? I didn't until I looked it up.
No.
Okay.
David Michino.
He was drafted by New Orleans in 2016. He plays in France. He was drafted by New Orleans in 2016, traded to the LA Clippers on draft night. He re-signed in France with a team in France, right? And then his rights were traded from the Clippers to the Sacramento Kings, and now his rights are being traded to the Nets. And for whatever reason, the Nets decided they want him, right? They want the rights to be able to sign him, to draft him again. Which is weird.
Weird.
Right, it's weird. Because I don't know who he is. I mean, he's obviously good, and he's obviously highly recruited, and he got drafted by New Orleans in 2016. I get it. Weird. And I've never heard of him. February 8th, KD goes to Phoenix. This is probably the biggest move they made, right? Kevin Durant goes to Phoenix with JT Warren for Michael Bridges, Cameron Johnson, and Jay Crowder. Also, 4 first-round picks and a 2028 pick swap. Wow. Just wow. Did all of a sudden... First of all, when Kyrie gets traded, I think Dallas gets better, but I'm not 100% certain that's true. Watched Kyrie and Luka play together for the first time.
Looks all right.
It's okay. I'm not sold on it. You gotta watch a few more games and see if they can develop a chemistry. That may be too much star power for Luka.
Yeah.
Right? Because he's used to being the guy. Anyway, but also now KD goes to Phoenix. I think KD is perfect in Phoenix. He's going to complete that team and make them just a force, right? When he comes back from his injury.
Right.
And that may be after the All-Star break at some point. Anyway, on February 9th, they get a 3-team deal with the Nets giving up Jay Crowder, who they just got. Eventually, he goes to the Milwaukee Bucks, but and then the Nets get 2 second-round picks. The Indiana Pacers got George Hill, Serge Ibaka, Jordan Nwora, and 3 second-round picks. So they got Brooklyn is loaded with draft picks. They literally sold the whole team, right? Because they got rid of James Harden earlier, right?
Yeah.
And so everybody they had that was a star is gone. And they're going to rebuild. They did this, by the way, just like weeks after they were the 2nd seed in the East. They were 27-15 on January 16th and number 2 in the East.
Interesting.
That's less than a month ago.
It feels like you're still in the middle of the hunt. You dumped all your players.
Right, isn't that crazy?
Strange.
It feels weird.
It's quirky.
And now they're 33-24. They're still 5th. They're still in the hunt of a playoff position. They still had a chance. I don't understand what the desire was to just say now we're going to give up. At the time when the first trade happened, they were third still in the East.
Yeah.
Weird.
It definitely seems like they made a kind of a strange decision, but it doesn't seem bad. It's not biting them yet. We'll say yet.
I guess not. I mean, maybe they just didn't. Did they just not feel like they were going to ever catch Boston, or I mean, what's the deal?
Yeah, like what was the motivator here?
Right.
Like I can't figure it out.
I don't know. It's weird because even if your guys aren't happy, that is enough talent on that team to win games.
It just sounds like these guys said they wanted out, and you thought, well, if we don't have them, we don't have him. What the heck are we doing here?
Right. That's kind of what it feels like.
Time to move on to something else.
We'll wave the white flag and we'll move on.
There's still plenty of other stuff left. There's still plenty of other. Yeah,
I don't know what happened. I feel like the Western Conference got a lot tougher though because Dallas benefits, Phoenix benefits. So that's going to be interesting. We also have the Seattle Kraken, by the way, 30-18-6 with 66 points, third place in the tightly packed Pacific Division. After last night's 3-2 shootout loss to Winnipeg, the Kraken have shown basically they're as good as anybody in the league.
Yeah, they are.
But the Western Conference is really tough. There are a lot of teams packed right there together, and Seattle's only 5 points out of not being in the playoffs. After the great season that they've had, I mean, they're not far from the top of the division or top of the conference, but they're also not far from being out of the playoffs.
They're in a rough spot.
It's a tough position. They've lost 4 out of the last 5 games. They're going to play the Flyers on Thursday at 7. But, still technically fighting for their playoff lives, even though they've had a great season. We'll see how that plays out. All right. You got anything you want to talk about?
I did not. No.
Okay. We're going to skip everything else and talk about next week. Next week we're going to talk about F1, the new liveries. The season is about to start. Really, we're close.
Jazzed about it.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to watch.
March 5th, I think, is the first race.
Yeah, and the end of this month they're going to have practice. So we're in Spain and where's the first race? I want to say it's Abu Dhabi, but it's not Abu Dhabi.
Oh my gosh, I saw it earlier.
They're somewhere in the Middle East for the first race. They're going to have practice there too. So, but anyway, the training run, the practice runs it's a big deal. It's going to be interesting to watch. Anyway, this season I'm excited about. It's going to be fun. We'll talk about they're
starting Bahrain this year.
Bahrain, that's where that is. Yeah. So they go to Spain and they do some training, and then they go to Bahrain and they practice, and then they actually have the race. So it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see the new cars and how they do. There's some new regulations. We'll talk about all that next week. We'll go deep on F1 next week.
Deep F1 dive.
Deep F1 dive. So let's go back to the trivia question because this is what we do. The Stave & Stone trivia question brought to you by Stave & Stone Wine Estates in Hood River. The winery at the vineyard is 3827 Fletcher Drive, 7 days a week from 12 to 6 for indoor and patio dining. The downtown tasting room open 12 to 6 Thursday through Sunday. Go to staveandstone.com, check out their selection of award-winning wines, or make a reservation to go taste for yourself. Call 541-946-3750. That's 541-WINE-750, or email them info@staveandstone.com for more information. So here's the trivia question, you ready?
Right.
Which was, of the 57 Super Bowl winners, how many have won the coin toss? Including this one, right? So.
Well, this one they did.
Yeah, they did.
Which is the first time I know since Seattle.
Right.
A little while ago.
So here's the question.
Smacked my Broncos to death.
They did too.
They bludgeoned them. I'd say I think it's gonna be. I feel like it's gonna be low, but not too low. It's like 18, 19.
Okay, that's a pretty good guess.
18, 19 times, yeah, over the course of history. It's not bad.
Okay, the answer officially, by the way, is 25. And 25 winners.
I was near.
25 winners, 32 losers. If you win the coin toss, it's not a guarantee that you're going to win the Super Bowl.
It's actually a statistical probability that you won't.
I wanted to show this, by the way. This is the 1967 NFL AFL Championship game, which is what they called it, a World Championship game. Before that was the Super Bowl.
Right.
So this is the Packers and the Chiefs. This was the first coin toss. Notice all the people and the cameras? No.
Well, cameras are expensive back then.
I guess, but still, I mean, I'm like, this is how a coin toss really should be, right? And now this is what a coin toss looks like in today's game. This is Green Bay Pittsburgh,
Super Bowl,
yeah, Super Bowl 45. That's a while back.
Yes.
Here's Kansas City, San Francisco. Looking at the result of the coin toss, right? Super Bowl 54. Here you got last year's Super Bowl, right? With just Matt Stafford, by the way. The Rams threw out one player, which I was like, yeah, that's how you got one captain, right?
Who is that? Is that Jalen Ramsey?
That's Matt Stafford.
Oh, it is Matt Stafford.
Yeah. And then
Maddie.
Yeah, you got Pittsburgh, Arizona back in the day, and you've got. I mean, I put a whole bunch of pictures on here. Patriots, Giants. This is the helmet catch game, right? You get Tom Brady flipping for the Seahawks, Steelers.
Why is he doing that?
I don't know the answer, but I found this picture and I'm like, why is he flipping the coin? It's a big deal, right?
Why is Tom Brady
doing
a coin flip?
I mean, maybe he was figuring out the next team he's going to play for. I don't know. And then there's Patriots, Eagles from Philly Special.
Philly Special,
Philly
that's right.
Special, right? There you go. Anyway, I thought those were fun to look at just to see the teams and the things. But anyway, 25, is the answer. So I know it's not that exciting a trivia question, but it is interesting to note that if you win the coin toss, it doesn't mean a damn thing.
Interesting.
So, right. It would be interesting to see how many coin toss winners of regular season games, just in general. What's the statistic? And is tails the winner or is heads the winner? There's probably that. It's probably written down somewhere. I could probably look it up, but I didn't.
Right.
But that's an interesting thing to think about. Does it really matter what you call? And if you're the team that calls it, how many of those actually win it? Because I never saw that statistic. Nobody ever showed that in any of the things I looked at for the Super Bowl. Right? You could win the coin toss without calling it. My question is, the teams that call it, who actually wins it? Right?
So Tom Brady's Super Bowl coin toss looks like Super Bowl 40. And it was 40 years of Super Bowl MVPs. Super Bowl MVPs. Yeah. So they assembled more than 30 Super Bowl MVPs on the field, and Tom Brady was the most recent
and he got
winner.
to do the toss.
So he got to do it, but he became the only current active non-participating player to flip a coin.
A coin. That's kind of cool, though. It's a good on him, but I'm not a Tom Brady fan, so he probably tainted it. I'm sure he deflated the coin first.
Deflated the coin.
I don't know. Anyway, whatever. So awesome. All right. Anything to say before we go?
Wash your hands, people.
Yeah, you should still wash your hands. I mean, that's just a good idea.
I saw somebody use the bathroom today at the gym, just not wash their hands, just walk out. I was like, gross.
I work at a place that has, bathrooms, public bathrooms, right? You can come use the bathroom. The men's room, which I frequent, has, shall we say, water everywhere all the time. And
it's the hand flick. I don't know what the deal is. People just can't figure it out.
It's not even just like a splatter of water. It's like a puddle of water on the countertop. Every time I go in there, there's water like literally dripping off the countertop. What are you guys doing? You shake them in the sink and then you go get a towel. It's really easy. Anyway, I don't know.
Some people.
You can't. Whatever. Anyway. All right. So I guess I don't know which music. Let's start. Let's try some music. Is that the best one?
It's one of my favorites.
All right. Again, we're on YouTube every week. We're on Twitter at Lamb Sports, on Facebook under the Best Lamb Sports. You can email us lambsports@gmail.com. We want to thank ESPN, Fox Sports, NBC Sports, ABC Sports, CBS Sports, the NBA, the NFL, NCAA, NHL. Of course, our sponsors, The Range in Yakima, Boston Kitty Yarns, Stone, Wine Estates, and Hood River. So we're going to talk, like I said, we're going to be back next week. We're going to talk about F1. We're going to go deep. I don't know what else we're going to find. We're going to try and find something exciting, interesting, and offbeat to talk about. I still have mugs and pens. If you want one, email me, lambsports@gmail.com, and say, hey, I want to get mugged. And I will send you a mug. Free of charge to anywhere in the United States or any APO. That's the only qualifier. So one per household. So anyway, just want to let that be known. We still have them. So, want to thank you again for listening. This has been a Brain Rock production, a division of Lonely Tree Media, LLC. Want to thank you for listening. We'll see you next week.